And now, a reference. Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, a wonderful trove of memes, machismo, action, memes, reference, amazing music, and many peculiar stories, all of them connected to one single bloodline through the mind of one Hirohiko Araki. Out of everything I've talked on this channel so far, this is the one thing that does not require an introduction, like by a landslide. Even if you don't watch Jojo, you know Jojo, and you probably know it more than you think, especially because everything is a Jojo reference. You might think I'm joking, but you see this girl? She's doing a Jojo pose. You see this achievement in Genshin Impact? Stan's name reference. You ever heard of Benimaru from King of Fighters? He's based on Polnareff from Star Wars Crusader. Do you ever watch that NBC drama called Heroes? Well, remember this clip? Muda, 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 muda. Yeah. Do you read comics? I mean, I don't, but this was based on Zawardo. This is probably not your first JoJo's video, and you may have known some of the examples I mentioned before. Thing is though, not too many people actually realize how deep that rabbit hole goes. The cultural impact that Araki Sensei's work has had is nothing to laugh at. JoJo sees in one way or another one of the most influential pieces of media ever. I never really got into it until one of my best friends asked me to watch it, which being honest is something that I did only to please him, thinking that I was gonna have a batshit insane meme of a series, but was pleasantly surprised with what I found. It's also worth mentioning that with part 6's unique trait of having a female lead in a sea of guys that look like this, I doubt it will be half as eccentric as Golden Wind, since Stone Ocean seems more action-heavy and gruesome, at least parting from the premise. But then again, I didn't expect Golden Wind to be so violent and European. So I guess it just goes to show you can never judge a JoJo by their poses. So why is Golden Wind so divisive then? I mean, it has all the staples of a good JoJo series, right? Well, it's complicated. See, the main thing with each part of JoJo's is just how much they differ from each other, which in and of itself it's also a time capsule with when each part came out. A lot of people give Phantom Blood a lot of shit, but they fail to realize you gotta look at it through the lens of a series that came out in 1987. Heck, if anything, I have more problems with its more renowned part, Stardust Crusaders, than I do with Phantom Blood. At least Phantom Blood has the decency of being 12 episodes long, even with all of its issues. Whereas if you don't like Star Wars Crusaders, you have to sit through 48 episodes of Kujo Jotaro's fantastic world tour. And that is not to say that Star Wars Crusaders is bad, quite the opposite. There's a reason why it's one of the most renowned JoJo stories, but it goes to show just how different each part is with each other. They all vary in length, themes, messages, styles, whatever you mind. So with that being said then, what makes Golden Wind the black sheep of the family? Well, first and foremost, that's because within all 5 parts available so far, this is the one that is the most odd one out of all the other parts. And that's even including Stone Ocean, which hasn't even been released yet. This is the one part that, with the exception of one very important detail, the story decided to just use as a glorified reference, thus making the whole point of everything being a JoJo reference come full circle. You can virtually watch Golden Wind without any prior knowledge of any other part. The story centers around one Giorno Giovanna, who has a dream of becoming a gangstar, basically a mafia boss. Set in Italy, the story takes Giorno and his team within the mafia organization of Pazione, Mista, Abacchio, Narancia, the human personification of fuck you, and Bucciarati as they climb the ladder of the organization in order to be at the very top of it. Right out of the bat, it is worthy to know that while Giorno is indeed the one to have the biggest moment in the anime near the end, until then, he has more of a support role in the group thanks to the unique ability of his stand, Gold Experience. This is a stark contrast from the rest of the protagonists who are more of a powerhouse than him in many aspects and are surrounded mostly by a supportive cast of characters. Not only this, but Giorno is not even the leader of the team featured in the story. That honor goes to Bruno Bucciarati. So then, if he's not even the main guy in the group, and he's not even the strongest one in there as well, what makes Giorno so special then? Well, you know this guy? Yeah, you know, only like the most iconic and popular character to ever grace the whole series? Yeah, he's his dad. Giorno Giovanna is basically Luke Skywalker. No! And sadly, the series does absolutely nothing with it. And herein lies the main problem with the story. All of the promises it had from the get-go are sort of let go with no resolution whatsoever. I mean, say what you want about Daimon is Unbreakable being a slice of life, but at least it added to the Stanlord with the arrows, the main Joestar bloodline story, and also happens to be the best thing ever made in Jojo as of yet, at least when it comes to the anime adaptation. And even with bits and pieces of the story left unanswered, it felt like there was a reason for this, especially considering what happens in later parts. But with Vento Aureo, it feels like Araki wanted to make a bigger story that tied into so many things into the overall lore, but ended up just telling a mafia story. Great one at that, as I did enjoy Golden Wind's story, but okay, hear me out. If you go back all the way to the very first episode of Golden Wind, there are so many things that are seemingly being set up in front of you. Giorno's charm as a Brando and a Joestar, its connection to the other parts. Heck, even Giorno himself feels very different in episode 1 as he does by the end of the series. Things such as how Gold Experience works, with its ability to reflect the damage back to anyone who attacks the thing that it's been given life to. Or even the ability to increase someone's senses by infusing them with life energy to the point of causing an overload, making them see the whole world in slow motion, even feeling pain as many more times than normal. Those two abilities get forgotten rather quickly with the exception of one instance at the very end of the story, which kind of feels like a waste since Gold Experience is one of the most interesting stands in the whole series in my opinion. But just as with many things in the story, it just gets sidelined and stripped down to its bare minimum later on, which mind you, it's still pretty amazing. Gold Experience is a really cool stand, but it feels like we didn't get as much as we were promised originally. Insert here, this is a reference for Golden Wind story because everything in Jojo is a reference and everything is a Jojo reference. From the few sources and interviews I could find, it seems to me that Araki was in a point in which he wanted to be more focused on getting a new style out, as well as putting on the foreground for full display his love for other countries and cultures, while at the same time telling a mafia story with many cool and unique characters, which is fine, but again, go back to the first episode. Look at the way he seems to foreshadow the drug subplot, the relationship with Giorno and Dio, how his charm is not quite Joestar and he's more laid back and playful. And to be honest, we didn't really need that much to begin with. Just a peek into his thoughts on who his father was or how much he knew about him would have been enough. Especially when you consider Giorno's ideals. But then on top of it all, he also had to bring Polnareff back into the story, which makes me feel, again, he could have set up so many cool moments. Polnareff is a character that has lost so many people dear to him because of Dio directly or indirectly. So seeing him help Giorno and the gang beating an evil similar to Dio while talking to Giorno about his father, the two of them taking turns exchanging their thoughts about him, if the series would have gotten rid of certain moments in battles and just focused a bit more on this, it would have made Golden Wind even closer to the rest of the series and maybe even a bit more emotional, especially when you consider the best thing about it. Not the gorgeous art style or the amazing musicalization or fun battles. No, not even the themes of loss and betrayal, nor the creative stand abilities or the sense of union and camaraderie you get from Bucciarati's team. Not even this gem of a sequence.
Vocal percussion on a whole nother level, coming from my mind. Vocal percussion on a whole nother level, coming from my mind.
No. To me, the best thing about Golden Wind is not what it shows you, but what it decides to not show you. Different from setting a plot and telling us key details that seemingly will be important later, only for them to be skipped by King early, the show don't tell approaching some areas of Golden Wind are masterful to say the least. And in them, you can see a lot of Araki's writing prowess shine through. Let's look at Giorno as an example for this. At first glance, heck even on first watch, you'll be remiss to see him as something more than just an Italian stoic young man with a lot of similarities to Jonathan Joestar. Both of them not being really big on personality when you compare them to the rest of the cast, but once you peel that facade off, you start seeing him more for what he is. Not a ruthless hero with a gentleman demeanor, but rather someone that holds a particular something in high regard. But unlike someone like Jonathan, who will be a gentleman through and through, trying to solve the conflict with the least amount of casualties as possible, Giordano is someone whose switch changes him to an unforgiving gangster who won't hesitate to pull the metaphorical trigger to anyone who threatens what he holds dear the most. What may that be? In typical anime fashion, you might be thinking his friends or his dream to become a gangster star, but in actuality, thanks to the fact that stands are literal energy manifestations that can also double as the user's psyche, and nowhere is more apparent than in Vento Oreo with stands such as the ones of Team Bucciarati's members, what Giorno holds in the highest regard is love. What I love the most about how this is portrayed is the fact that it's never outright said. It is all shown through Gold's experienced ability to infuse people and objects with life energy, but also in the way Giordano himself reacts to innocent people being robbed of their lives. Take this scene in which he kills one of Passione's capo, Polpo, who gives Giordano a test that ends up unfairly killing an innocent man, with Polpo himself even saying that even God wouldn't object to murdering someone for not showing proper respect. Normally, any other protagonist will directly seek a confrontation with Polpo at this point, but being someone more ruthless due to his lineage, Giordano offs him off in the most ironic and fitting way by turning his banana into a gun so he will end up doing the deed himself. There are many examples of this throughout the whole series, as Giordano never really kills anyone if he's not given a reason to, but much like with Daddy Dearest before him, when someone really hits that switch, nothing can stop the relentless fury that will fall upon them. For they cross the line, Giorno Giovanna will never forgive. And just like with Giordano's characterization, there are many amazing aspects of Golden Wind that make it more than a worthy addition to the Jojo's family. The main villain is honestly terrifying at times. The way all of the members of Team Bucciarati have a proper backstory and motivation for why they're there and why they do what they do, all the returning cast from previous parts, the goddamn music! But just as with everything Golden Wind actually manages to do right, and incredibly so, it just ends up tripping itself over that exact same aspect. Yes, King Crimson and Diavolo are terrifying and all, but what's up with the lack of backstory? Because of the way he was portrayed, he was incredibly intimidating and interesting with the whole double personality shtick, until the end, in which he honestly fell flat, and in the same category as someone like Karst from Battle Tendencies. Cool, but not holding a candle to this two right here. Yes, Team Bucciarati has a really good characterization and backstory, but none of them change or evolve that much, and some of them are even killed unceremoniously so. And also, Golden Wind, you gotta chill out with fake out deaths. Seriously, Mista died like, I don't know, 4 times? Oh, would you look at that? A reference. The returning cast is good, yes. It's amazing and even downright heartbreaking seeing Polnareff in this part, but as I said before, they all feel tagged on in the end. They feel more like a callback rather than them actually having a reason to be there. And the music, well, that's just golden from beginning to end. I don't want this video to sound like I dislike Golden Wind, but I feel it's the one part of Jojo I have the most issues with, and in the end I thought it was interesting talking about it, especially since I'm saving a review for each part for a dedicated video. But with the advent of Stone Ocean coming soon, I can say even though Golden Wind has been the most problematic Jojo part so far, in the end it still holds its rightful place alongside the other Jojos, much like the young Giovanna himself, even if it is by being the black sheep of the family. But, you know, as of now, it does have the best theme song in the entire series. I don't know if Stone Ocean will ever surpass this, but man, if anything, Il Vento d'Oro will forever be one of the best things to come out of Jojo as a whole. Golden Wind, you might be the troubled child, but you're still gold to my eyes. And you, young lady, I cannot wait to see what you have in store.